Islamic Finance Program. My name is Almir Kolan, and we are talking today about shares, Musharaka, and everything around corporation. Now, if you remember from our last episode, we were discussing about this issue of Musharaka, partnership, and so on, and we were trying to draw some links between modern corporation and classical Musharaka. We discussed a few different things here and there, and then we asked question about the shares. You remember this discussion?
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that really affected me, that Musharaka, the difference between Musharaka in the Islamic bank and the normal way in the loan of conventional banks, that Musharaka married the risk.
Mm-hmm.
But the conventional bank divorced the risk.
So
you're going to be, in terrible situation, and I'm far from that.
I'm far from that. That's exactly right. And we have seen really implications of this are huge, because just because you divorce yourself from the risk or maybe sell it to another investment bank or something like that, does not mean you are managing the risk. Does not mean risk disappear from the market. And this is what insurance thinks. They hedge their instruments, they take insurance, and then the entire industry, it's like make-believe story. They think we got rid of the risk. And in reality, you can't get rid of the risk. You cannot eliminate the risk. You can shift it around, sell it, or you can share it. You have to pick which one you're going to do. And if you can just sell it and transfer it to someone and they try to take a risk more and more, you will destroy economy at the end. So, all right, let's talk about this issue of shares. What are the shares in reality? What are the share stocks? What is that?
Actually, before we go in this, I have a question regarding risk. So how the Islamic institutions, Islamic financial institutions, how they manage the risk?
Of course, different types of risks. For example, if you are talking about, let's say, credit risk. You remember we were talking about subprime when they gave loans in conventional to the people who cannot afford. So if you are running Islamic bank, just because you are Sharia compliant, you do Musharaka, doesn't mean you go into this Musharaka with someone who cannot pay the rent. So just because you are Islamic banking, doesn't mean we extend financing to everyone. You see, it's not a charitable, it's not something somebody owe you. You cannot afford it, keep renting. Don't put yourself in a situation of a stress and this and that. Okay, and there is nothing wrong. Continue renting. You don't have to own, but don't put yourself in a position where you go into something that will cost you later on. So you are responsible as a bank manager, for example, that you screen people based on their credit history, how much money they are earning, all of these things. You have to be responsible. People have desires, they want it. You are responsible for the money of the bank, so you have to manage this credit. How likely is this person to default? So even if they are not thinking, you have to think. So if you don't care about credit policy of your bank, then you're going to extend financing to everyone, you will collapse. You have to think about like a business person. Is this viable? Is this commercially viable? Just because it's Sharia compliant doesn't mean I do reckless things. So any kind of other risk, what you try to do is you try to see how I can minimize it. But you understand at the end of the day, there is something called risk. There is no way to get out of it. So if you want to share some reward, you have to take some of that risk. And usually in finance, we know if I want to anticipate higher return, I have to go into some more riskier investments.
No risk, no gain.
That's right. You have to go that these things go hand to hand. So in the shares, what are the shares we were saying? It's something linked with the company, something linked to the business. Let's sort of have some corporation. Okay, let's make up corporation. What do we call it? What do we call our corporation? We are 5 business people. Okay, let's call something.
Malaysian.
You can join you can call it Because Egypt, South Africa, and Malaysia, so ESM Corporation.
Okay, ESM, okay. ESM, okay. All right, and what is it that we do? What's our business? What are we doing? Huh?
We sell books.
Books, okay, so we sell books. Okay, this is us, this is our business, okay? All right, so we print the books, or we just buy them and sell them, or we run like printing and all right, now an iPad and everything. All right. So okay, so we got some money. Maybe each of us got $1 million. Okay, so how many of us? 5, yeah.
5.
So 5 of us. So 5 of us each contribute 1 million. Yeah. Now we need 100 million to run successfully this business, meaning to buy the machines, maybe buy a few things here and there, employ staff. We say roughly we need $100 million, okay? So we now need $100 million. Okay? Okay? So this is what we need. Here, how we are going to get from 5 to 100 million that we need. How we are going to get from 5, which 5 of us invested in this pool. So we got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is what we have. Now, what we need is the rest. Okay? Okay, so this is all together 100. Okay, all together is 100 pieces. 100 pieces of this company. So what do we do now? All right, we ask a bank. We could ask a bank, and they, you know, like Musharaka, they give 95%. But let's say banks don't want to get. It's risky. They don't know if you're going to be successful, how it is going, whatever is happening. They don't know you, and they don't want to risk it. I don't know how good you are with the books. I think people don't want to read the books anymore. It's all is online, and people love YouTube more than books. So forget the books. All right, we advertise and they still don't buy it. We say, forget it. You know, I have my Kindle and iPad or whatever.
Everything there.
Thank you very much. You know, newspapers are going out of the business. You know, and our youth, unless it is a kind of one-page book, not going to read it. All right. So what we do now? But there are some people who buy your idea. You know.
Actually, most of the people nowadays, it's right. Most of the people nowadays just read online books.
Some. So we say now we need 95 million. 95. Let's say we find 95 people somewhere in the world, each with $1 million. They believe this is a great idea. You know. They're going to think people are going to throw out these screens, you know, batteries. We're going to go back to the paper and reading. All right? Now, they say, let's each of us invest 1 million. So you, at the end, get them all to invest. So you got your 100 million through, so 100 people invested 100 millions in this company. Now, very important question. How do we now understand the relationship that these people have who invested $1 million each, 100? What is the relationship that they have between themselves?
Partnership.
Yeah? So this, in fact, is similar to what we were saying in Musharaka, which was usually like a project or something like that, but the similar idea of partnership is here in this company. What do each what would each person owe here in this business?
1 million.
1 million.
1 million. So in this pool of
each
money,
person would own 1%.
Each person would own like a 1%. 1%. When we first put the money, it's 1 million, equal to 1%. Okay. Now, we could say that this 1%, this one block, we call it one, let's call it one, like one block. We can further divide this, isn't it? So in effect, let's say if it is originally one piece, okay, person invested 1 million, that person could sell this if he want to get out of the business. Okay, you give me 1 million and I will get out. Yeah? Now, can they initially, so it's just in the company, what is now in the company? In the budget, in the books of the company?
100 million.
100 million. So if I want to sell my piece, my share of the business, can I say you give me 2 million for my share?
No.
Hmm?
No.
Is there any profit yet?
So nothing. We didn't start doing business,
Okay.
but somebody put 1 million and he changed his mind.
Okay.
Can he say, okay, can I swap place with someone and get new investor and, you know, sell my share?
Yeah.
I think
can.
so you can sell it.
Yeah.
Nothing
What
wrong.
about for 2 million? I say.
No,
No.
no,
You-
not this.
1 million.
1 million.
You,
the same
you can
price.
sell it for 2 million because it's an asset and you own it now.
What is the asset in the company?
Capital.
You bought the share.
block.
the-
This block.
Hmm?
This block.
This block? So what is this block representing?
1 million.
1 million.
It represents money.
Mm.
So still we didn't started doing
Still.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah? We still, there is no book printed yet. It's just idea and money. So when I want to sell piece of that money, it's like I'm selling money. So now I'm selling $1 million. Now if you want to swap, then you have to pay exactly. Otherwise, if I charge more, what is this?
Interest.
Riba.
It's
Interest.
riba.
Mm.
By the way, same would be if we bought some assets and we sold it and all we have coming in was 100 million. All we have in this business is 100 million coming in the future, like a debt. And selling that other than a par at the same value would be again riba. So I can only sell debt or a cash at the same nominal value.
Okay.
Anyway, so, but we don't want to keep, that's not why we are in a business, to keep the cash. So that's just the first phase. What we're going to do, we're going to buy building, machines, things, maybe 70-80% will go into that. And the rest will be for paper, paying staff, and so on. Advertising, marketing, and the cash flow as we normally do. So in the future, we understand that you want to be able to get out of this business, to sell it and so on. But maybe you don't want to sell completely. So one person goes and say, you know what, I'm going to split my share of the business, and I'm going to just sell half of this. Okay, so I'm going to sell half of my ownership. Can they do that?
Yeah.
So now we have what do we have now in this business? Is it 100 or something else?
It's
100.
We have mix.
we have mixed.
Mix. Most of it assets. So it's some sort of assets, yeah? Yeah, so it's it's a building, it's a paper, hiring worker, and it's an asset. Now, can this person say, I want 2 million for my share? Can this guy who invested originally 1 million, after a while, you know, been doing business and there's some assets now, can he sell his place or his part at 2 million?
You can sell it because it's assets now.
It's now assets. So now I can price it at whatever price somebody is willing to buy. So we negotiate, you want to pay 10 million, like for example, there is a famous investor called Warren Buffett, and he bought shares in very famous company, Coca-Cola, many years ago. You know, his business never give us shares, his business, you know. And what they do, they just keep reinvesting. So if you, for example, bought Coca-Cola years ago, so each dollar now would be maybe thousands of dollars, maybe more. In fact, he has got a company, Berkshire Hathaway, that one share is now worth, I think, something like $150,000. Each share. It just keeps growing, investing and reinvesting, and it doesn't even give dividend. Just keep going. So it's the highest share in the world, like price, in terms of the price. So just keep investing and so on. So this can grow. You don't know. I mean, whatever is depends on the business. But like in any case, usually we see people, they want to sell the share, they want some manageable number, so million is high. So you might find that one of these people, let's say, might want to divide it. Maybe he can't find a buyer, so we divide, for example, one of these pieces at $10. You know, so how many you want to buy from this business? We give it a price because now that there is a profit in the business, there is things are happening, and you know, so maybe this share is now valued at 10 million, whole thing. So I don't want to sell all of it. I might want to get some cash, so I'll divide these. Okay, in fact, we're going to divide all of these in small pieces. Okay, we're going to divide it in small shares. Small shares. Each of these will be like a small shares. Okay. What do we do now, inshallah? After the break, we are going to continue this discussion.
Imagine that the Anbiya, they were the ones, they were the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had the hardest times.
He assumed that he had some kind of superiority and he was a better, more chosen, you know, better person because he had this wealth. And then you look at all the other people who had wealth, and some of them were the worst people. You had Fir'aun and
reviving your niyyah time and again, that you're doing insincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Most of the youth, they think, oh, I'm going to pray when I'm old, it's okay, now I'll have fun in my life. Later on I'll work, I'll go on my bed, I'll pray 5 times a day. And all these things, they think that that's later on in their life, and they don't know when they will die.
Amira, who's your role model?
Khadija radiallahu anha.
And why?
Because she was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's wife, and she was the first lady to believe in Islam.
Welcome back. We are discussing about the shares and the modern corporations, Musharaka, all of these new terms that we see popping up around us. So we're trying to make a sense of it to see where it is going. So just before the break, we were discussing about 100 people, put 100 million, and so on. Now, if you think about the shares in that way, that each slice can be then sliced to the other one, then we could start actually this process. Rather than having to find 100 people, we could say, let's find 10 million. Let's slice this into 10 million pieces.
Yes.
Okay? So rather than 100 pieces, let's make it 10 million, and we will price it. So at the end, we want to get, again, some amount of money which we are targeting, but the number of shares, let's say we make it 1 million of share. How many we actually wanted to make? Oh, we want 100 million. So we slice this in 100 million shares. Each share $1. Nice and easy. One share, one of these slides here equal, one share equal $1. Okay, now why would we do something like this?
To get more investors?
Definitely more investors. How does that help more investors?
Because the amount of shares is $1. Everybody can afford
$1.
that.
So now, for example, I might not have $1 million, but I might have 700,000. So that means I'll buy 700,000 shares. He might not have 2 million for this, but he might have 1.5 million. So he will be able to customize to buy this much of the company. Okay, so that way we still can sort of buy and sell.
In the shares, how do each person's shares increase? What happens in this company?
So how would the share increase? Share would stay the same. Yeah, so like we said, remember in the previous example, when we have two partners, each partner will have 20% or 30%. Here, each person would have, for example, maybe 1%. Let's say this was 1%. So half of this is 0.5%, yeah? A quarter here is 0.25. Okay. One little dot here is maybe 0.001%.
Okay.
Now, let's say that part always will stay 0.001.
Okay.
You always owe part of that company, part of the pie, you know, part of the pie. You always have part of that pie. Now, what is happening with the company as they do business? The pie grows. So therefore, your part of the pie grows with it, but the ratio is still the same. You understand? So the ratio is always the same. It's always 1%, 2%, or whatever it is you have. But you are growing the pie. Okay? So return, what is like a capital gain.
So basically it will be 1% from 100, 1% from 200,
Exactly.
1% from
It
300.
will be from percentage from the 100 all the time. So for example, what does that mean? Let's say initially this was valued as 100 million.
100
but
million.
maybe in the future they do so well, this is now valued as 400 million.
Okay.
So each of these blocks is the same 100 blocks will be now worth 4 million. And remember we said if we divided in 1 million for $1, now each of these would be now worth, if I divided it in 100 million shares, shares would be worth $4. Remember we said we could divide it in 100 by million or 100 million shares by each dollar.
Yes.
So the shares would be initially $1, yeah? So $1 on the market. After a couple of years,
As it grow.
So it's now for 4. For example, when Google, I think, listed their shares, I can't remember now, but I think it was something like $100, for example. Okay, $100. Now, how much is Google? I don't know. I'm not following much, but maybe
billions?
maybe like 300, for example. I have no idea, no clue. Maybe more, maybe less. But it's a lot more than it was originally. So maybe it's 300 now. Why they increased? Why did this increase?
Because it was doing well.
Revenue from advertising, from whatever they're doing, is people saying, okay, now you are getting, I don't know, you're making 50 million a year, so obviously the company will be worth more than 100 million.
Yes.
If you're making a year 50 million. Yes? So it's the same. So Google is making billions. Each piece of the business is generating profit. And usually you evaluate the profit by how much it generates.
Yes.
So you say, now this is bringing so much. I will not sell this much anymore. You know, I will sell it for higher price. It's much more valuable. See, this pen, it generates so much money, I will charge more. I will not just sell it for any more $1, but 5, 10. So this is how this is grow. And this is, of course, happening, this price is by people, you know, this is what he said, supply and demand. So they go on the market, they sort of buy and sell.
When a person has shares, so the only way he gets back his money is to sell that shares.
Exactly. You are the owner now of the company. So that's what we are saying. So in fact, if we look at the situation, what the shares represent in the company is, what we said, is partial ownership.
Partial ownership.
You are now owning what they call interest in the company, ownership interest you have, not interest like riba, ownership of a specific part of a total company. So out of this company, you owe part of it. Now, question, is it permissible then to own these shares? So this starts trading, I want to get out of this. Is it permissible for me first to own this share, and then if I want to later sell it to someone?
As long as it's an asset, yeah, I can do it.
So if it is the asset, if it is something that is real, tangible, you can negotiate the price.
Yes.
Meaning, bargain, give me more, take less, or whatever. This is what market is doing. Like when you go in the market where these things are done, any market like, I don't know which one you have here in Egypt, what's called stock exchange
Stock
here?
exchange.
Egyptian stock exchange something. Okay, so when you go there, people, what do we buy and sell on the market?
Shares.
That's why we call it share market. Because market is what? What is the market? Place where people buy and sell.
Yeah.
So in the market where you sell food, it's called food market.
Yes.
Place where you buy and sell shares is called share market.
Share market.
If you have any other derivative market, it's derivative. It's, you know, so the name of the market will have its function in the title. So in the share market, you buy and sell ownership of the company. Ownership in the company. So they do it through computers, and usually what you would have on one side people saying something like they give an offer. Okay? They give an offer how much they want to sell. So they say, this business, I will sell my shares. Somebody says, I will sell my shares. So it's now last bought share. So on this side, we will have person saying, I have 100 shares that I will sell each $4.5. Okay, so how much is the share price now reached? We say in our company, each share reached $4 here, we say.
Yeah.
It started with one, over time it got better, and it's now sort of $4. What mean this $4? How do we know it's $4?
Because of working out your percentage of your share.
How do we know how much something costs?
Because of the profit that we've made.
Sure, you can have a profit, but that's fine. But how do I know? How do we agree on what this number 4 is?
According to the market?
So what does that mean according to the market? How would that be according
Supply
to
and
the market?
demand.
People come and then do what? So how does supply and demand determine this rate?
If it's increasing,
Statistics.
Statistics. This is the last price at which shares were bought or sold. Okay?
yeah.
So the last time anybody bought or sold this share will determine the price for the rest of the shares on the market. So this is the last one. So now, on one side, we will have people, okay, so they say 4. Well, I have 100 shares. I'm not going to sell them at 4. My thinking is it's worth more. So I have my 100. I'm ready to sell. You give offer. I'm ready to sell it 4.5. Okay? Some other guy, maybe he's got also 100. He says, I'm ready to sell it at 4.4. Another person says, you know, I'm ready, I have 1,000 and I'm ready to sell it at 4.3. Another one say, I have 50, I'm ready to sell them at 4.2. And so on. Another one says, I have 5,000 and I'm ready to sell them at 3.9. Person then go here, 10,000. I'm ready to sell them 3.8, and so on. So this goes down on price. So you have price here, let's say the highest. So you have a price, and you have how much here. Now on the other side, what do we have? What do we have on the other side? Huh? We have opposite.
Opposite.
Yeah, opposite here is because now here person, let me actually put it here next to these guys. Okay, I'll just delete this one here just to make it easy for us to follow what's going on. It's still same company, guys. Okay, so just imagine this, the rest of it here. So now on this other side somebody is saying, you know what, I might want to buy some shares in this company. So what I'm going to do, I wish I could buy 100 at $3. Well, you say, inshallah, you buy them, but you never know. So he's hoping, he's wishing, you know. But of course, it's very low now for the market. Now another guy says, I wish I could buy 500 at, you know, 3.5. Anyway, you have somebody who will say, I wish I could buy 50 at, I don't know, at what? 3.9, yeah? So you go like that. There is somebody who wants to buy 1,000 at 4, okay? And then there is somebody who wants to buy another 50 at 4.2, and another one wants to 500 at, you know, 4.3, whatever. All right, so why do we write all of this stuff? Why do we write? So there is some offer here, people expressing interest. Is there a match here anywhere? Is there a match?
No.
This guy can't find buyer for this. He can't find it. Nobody here is willing to buy that. People see this, nobody want to buy it. Either it's too many or too little. Maybe if he had more or less, might be. And so on. Similar here. Although it's below price maybe, but nobody wants that many. However, as we move along, and the same here, nobody want to sell anyone for 3. Okay, same is here for 3.5. And also nobody want to sell even for 4.3 500. So there is no match. However, there is match here. Somebody want to sell at 50 at 4.2, while another person want to match that. Want to buy 50 at 4.2.
So I'll take it as an average?
No. Exactly. I'm buying. There is no average. I will buy this many at this price.
This price.
Because what does this mean? How much this is going to cost? It will be 50 times
4.2.
4.2. What? How much is that?
10,000.
No, it's a bit. What is that?
About 200.
A bit more over 200 something.
About 220.
Something. Yeah.
220.
All right. So that's what it is. 200 and something. That's about just over $200. So now I have specific amount. I don't want to adjust anything. So at this particular moment, after they offer this person accepts. Then in the market they give money and you get the shares. You become the owner. We transact. Okay?
Okay.
When this takes place, what will be the price of the shares now on the market?
200.
The price will change. It will be 4.2 now.
Because you bought it for that price.
That's what it's going. That's what someone is willing to pay. In the same time, maybe there will be somebody who buys here, says, you know what, I want 5,000 at 3.9. So this guy will now find a buyer. Okay, if they go ahead with that, the new price, 3.9. And that's why, as you buy and sell, you see graph will go a little bit like this.
So this is always how it
Always
happens
buying and selling,
the
price
stock.
goes up and down, and this is what is supply and demand.
So could the price go down within seconds?
In a second, and it goes even before seconds. Inshallah, after the break, we will see how this affects our daily life.
try to recap what we do here at Huda TV for the past week, and we try to share with you some of the latest news that is happening behind the scenes here at the station.
Living Islam would love a cooking show to be aired for Arabic dishes. Also more programs for children regarding manners.
We want to go ahead and take a look at our YouTube page right now and see how it looks as it stands. I'm on the screen right now, but I'm not on TV. I'm actually through YouTube, as you can see right there. It's the same exact thing that you see on TV here live. It's exactly the same thing that is on our YouTube page through our live streaming. A great way to stay in touch with us.
It's my first time to call Huda TV, but I like it too much.
Because there is no program in Huda TV that it is not important for our Muslims, inshallah.
Welcome back. We are discussing a little company that we created and the share market and what are the implications of each. So before break we were discussing how this buying and selling of the shares, individual pieces here, is actually creating this little fluctuation in the price. Now we said 4, 3.9, sometimes these can be much more less than that, you know, maybe it's a 4.01 or 2 or 3, so the prices are small. However, it does go up and down in the day, in a second. Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense? How this supply and demand in the sense of who is putting these shares on the market and how much they are willing and how much people are buying. Yeah. Now you can see how much this depends on volatility, meaning the price movement, how much people buy on some speculations. Okay, if people don't trust the company is doing well, what's going to happen here?
Everything.
People will start dumping their shares. They want to get rid of them quickly, so they will offer them at cheaper price. And these people will get them at cheaper price, which means the share will be reflected here, yes? So immediately we'll see. So more that goes down quicker, especially if it is fueled by some speculations, we will see that price will go down. So in the case of Facebook, for example, the shares were going down after IPO because there was a rumor they can't make money out of mobile sales of advertisements through the mobile technology, and that the revenue is not that much and so on. So it was driving it down. Okay, so this is where we see this particular speculation.
Does the stability of any country affect that? I mean, people are going to say, oh, this country is going to be...
Sure, it does. It affects everything in the country, because you see, when we talk about, for example, any country, they would have performance that day. For example, Dow Jones. Okay, that is like an index. It's not a whole thing, every single, but for example, certain amount of the top companies, the best one in the country, like in Australia they call ordinaries. So it is not every single company, but let's say top 100 companies, what they call like a blue chip and mix of different sectors and all. Why would they group them all together? They would group them to know the health of the country. So they would group 100 key companies that are a backbone of the economy of the country. And they would say, for example, these 100, they would sort of do average how much their value is, and they will assign certain number to this. Like, for example, 10,000. You know, just doesn't mean anything, just number, okay, points. So this 10,000 would then represent starting point. So if tomorrow you wake up and Dow is 9,000, what does that tell us about state of US, for example?
It's dropping.
There is some confidence problem. So in GFC or something like this this is going down. So if I'm an investor looking to invest in the US, I have some doubts. So will that affect real people getting real money, businesses doing?
No.
It will.
It will, yes, because
normally having that access to the money, it will be now restricted. Or if I want to invest here, what is this number telling me about the country?
It's dropping. It's unstable.
In terms of risk and return, remember?
Yes.
What is it? Risk? Is it more riskier?
It's increasing.
More riskier. So if the risk is more, what do you think investors will want in return for more riskier investment?
They need more protection or security.
They will take their money.
And
they will take their money back.
They will either sell it or start removing the share.
Or they will demand more return. So return will go up. So now we talk about, for example, conventional finance. When this, if they could access, if the company or a country or something like that, if they could access money at, let's say, 5%, this is conventional, let's say 5%. This is for this given risk. If like a Greece now, if it's become riskier, will they pay their loans? Will they default? Will they be in the euro? Will they get out of the euro? Will they go back to drachma, their previous currency? Country is now like almost, they call junk status. It's not investable at all. And the rating goes down. Everything, people taking money out. So this is reflected in the confidence. And if people want to buy government bonds, meaning to loan, give money to the government, you know how much they demand? Maybe 15 to 20%.
That's too much.
True, but that's how it is, because it's so risky. Remember, risk and return, this is how they think. Now, this is not Sharia compliant, these bonds and stuff, but I'm saying, what is the effect on the country? Even if I'm, as a Muslim, looking at the country and it's not going well, you know, I might want to, for example, in Musharaka, increase my share in the profit to compensate me for some risk. You understand? So I want to protect myself. So if they default, I will have, so risk and return will determine expectation from the people. I will not expect the same here. So this will affect the company. This will affect the business, a country, everybody else. So that's why we have share market. These people look constantly. Now, originally Dow was not out, or any other index, was not meant for this speculative purposes. Normally people who invented it, they would look at this maybe once a month, maybe once a week, just to know. Today people look at this in a second by second. Why? Because the whole of this buying and selling is completely automatic, and we said done through these computers. So these computers, they would analyze this. They would have these high-frequency trading computers. They would analyze this data. In fact, I have a colleague. He runs one of these. They manage money for other people, and next to him there is another company, and they move there because in that building it's directly connected to, I think, internet backbone of the internet or something like that. The directly connects to the internet. So what it does, it's maybe save them a millisecond or two when they execute these trades.
Oh, more faster than those that are working faster than a second.
You see? So it's millisecond. If he is maybe in the suburb, it's maybe 1 millisecond slower. So why do you need that? Why would you need milliseconds?
Because it goes faster than...
It shows fear.
It wants to execute hundreds of thousands of these operations in a second and trades. So it wants to figure out who is buying what, how they are doing that. And idea is not anymore to look what this business, you remember we said what the business is doing. Forget what the business is doing. We want to know what these traders are doing so we can, through these computer algorithms, figure out how to benefit from it. So they are trying to outsmart. But you know what the problem is? So you put one computer with their algorithm there. You think that's going to stop? There'll be another guy putting his computer there. There'll be another one, another one. So now, maybe 50, 60 more of these trades are done through these computers. Now the problem is there that we don't know who is buying what. Who is buying what, how they're disposing of these things. And all of the best and the brightest students, engineers, mathematicians, they want to study to go to work for a bank. They don't want to be engineers, maybe help in the develop farming. We have the problem how to feed humanity, how to solve cancer, malaria, you know, the help the world, solar, renewable energy. No, no, no. We get these best guys with the highest skill to learn how to do these things better. Make nothing and make $100 million a year in profits. So they absolutely have no value in the real life, but we take the talent to create weapons of mass destruction here. Financial weapon of mass destruction. Because now, this only helps crisis more deeper. And this is what we see, and I mentioned that before, flash crisis where because of these things, suddenly you would have this jump to $100,000 or drop down. We don't know what's happening. So if you, for a minute, put that aside, that's a problem. That's a big problem. That's why I say it passed genuine demand and supplies. We all want genuine buying and selling, share market that really represent ownership, and we buy and sell and people benefit from holding the stock and from underlying performance of the business. This is a dream we want. That's nothing wrong with these things. However, here, every news, every speculator is affecting, and what was originally good intention idea, it's now very difficult to understand what is going on. And that's why you have some people saying we need to develop separate share market for people who genuinely want to invest, whether it's to raise the capital to open the business or to liquidate their shares and get the liquidity. Because this is important to have market where I can raise the money for a business and get the money, because we need big corporation to solve complex problems. You see, one brother asked me, but these capitalism, big corporation, we don't, in Islam we don't have big corporation. I say that's absolutely wrong. Because now you have so complex challenges in front of you. You have corporations that employ millions of people to solve a specific problem or two. So we need, for challenging problem, huge, like look at the medical establishment or automotive industry. We're talking about huge. Like if you're talking about company that puts a Boeing together, they work with thousands of suppliers. There is hundreds of thousands of pieces collected from all continents. So we need these same solutions. So finally, is it permissible then to get the profits and dividends from the shares? And we will discuss this a little bit later on, some other rules regarding the shares. But on our company, if you own a piece of the business and it does something useful and it creates a profit, is it permissible to take this profit? So they return $1 million in profit at the end of the year, and they want to distribute to the shareholders based on how much percentage of ownership they have. Is it permissible? Can you take that? You can. So by purchasing the shares in this company, you become a shareholder or a partner in the business. As such, this shareholder, you, is entitled to receive proportional profit as a result of economic activities. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah? So in reality here, then I guess what I want you to keep in mind is that while there is some stigma attached to the shares, or it's haram or halal, or something, it's a misunderstanding of what they represent. And also where the problem comes, misunderstanding, is when you see how these companies work, how much debt they take, interest they invest. These are the certain aspects that we can't just say, don't worry about it. We have to look at the financials. Okay, so that's what we kind of have for us today. Any quick question? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
maybe inshallah next time we might continue on Mudaraba and other partnership arrangements. But for now, that is all. Thank you for joining us, and Assalamu alaikum.